It's strange altogether.
Le glór de yes na harde so begin kid piece of the napron and crown agus an trus sinné an gníomh athí.
Íomh teach meid. Á na héad atá ná ví
Isolad and all of the champa. On the head of Nav, going to tell him good out of the Yakin and the Holland of Maridian Thread Nav. On the run, Siad a bheith bhuiir talán na rásta táintí an leat a spanna húrban agus a spanna tar do brinne isa. Siad a bheith bhuiir talán na rásta táintí an leat a spanna húrban agus a spanna tar do brinne isa. Siad a bheith bhuiir talán na rásta táintí an leat a spanna húrban agus a spanna tar do brinne isa. Siad a bheith bhuiir talán na rásta táintí an leat a spanna húrban agus a spanna tar do brinne isa. Siad a bheith bhuiir talán na rásta táintí an leat a spanna húrban agus a spanna tar do brinne isa. Siad a bheith bhuiir talán na rásta táintí an leat a spanna húrban agus a spanna tar do brinne isa. Siad a bheith bhuiir talán na rásta táintí an leat a spanna húrban agus a spanna tar do brinne isa. Siad a bheith bhuiir talán na rásta táintí an leat a spanna húrban agus a spanna tar do brinne isa. Siad a bheith bhuiir talán na rásta táintí an leat a spanna húrban agus a spanna tar do brinne isa. Siad a bheith bhuiir talán na rásta táintí an leat a spanna húrban agus a spanna tar do brinne isa. Lord in the head and back of the sun stood there. Gemeir dat je van heeft one token, gemeir dat je aan de hand is van dat is dan een kamer op die we hebben. Dus we kunnen dat deze dat die langzaam nog. Onbegaan naar die gaan gegeven op de hoek van anderen. Er is niet helemaal niet bedrijven en anderen is. Maar wij zijn al hoog voor ouderen. Duur nee wat haar day. Dat is nu kan ik aan de feest gaan. Hier in de dier could the benachterin gehara on Trisha to the after gehara te idrigi Lactairne agus idrigi de ferige gabanet agus lasser agus in is dan mit de raig leis an afran. Yes na harde agus talaf siacháin de lucht de forte, molle me toe, more me toe, air me toe, tug me gloord dit, ga me bechas laten sochte woord gloorde, a hier ne die arena blahas, a hier helle vochtig, a hier ne een wiki sikties, a hier ne die oen die machen nachher, tussen hogen pak je down den trokeren, tussen hogen pak je down glachten arnie, tussen hier jes naar den trokeren, or is so on his neck, and it's what is what is Christ, maar een is het neef en Lord die het amen. Gemisch. A je is te dieden en ine, goede moeinasset, agus niel nacht na neefvacht in een jelle het thema's, braun gefehlern door schokre, agus moon doen 25 maas in Telscha, dus geweet me haar grie west na maas die bonen, sneer niet goed 2 star dierne. Is zo middels een hier leer.
Slucht as litter na Paul chuig na hepisigh. A bhráithire, páim me gin pi aribh agus mé I ma géhanach, ag an tíorna, uair saoil a chahabh go chi de réir na gairime atá fitte goibh, agus sibh be lán dir ísle láchas agus daine. Gurig is suas go carnach le chéile, agus déanana gi bhúr níhol kon eintacht an spridje gemaad fi hangel na siachan. Een karpavoin agus een spridavoin atá annu. Fui mar a hogan an garim a fuershive een dochas a voin di. Ni lau nach een tiernavoin, een kredavavoin agus een washtavoin. Ni lau nach een diavoin atá na aher e kach. Eos kiun kach agus e ginivu tri kach agus I stig I gach ille. Sinne brihad dé. Nis an frag an salam agus an fragre. Os glien to the law vi herne agus sa sin to sin.
Os glien to the law vi herne agus sa sin to sin.
Kelúrig dibrcahu a herne agus banoig do gwine nefahu. Canig siad glóir do riachta agus fáil seoig siad a chuach. Os glien to the law vi herne agus sa sin to sin. Bhí an súile chách ag fehebe, agus tugann tú bia dóibh in am trá. Os glien tú do lá, is ha sin tú a bhfuil beo le de cináltas. Os go líonn tú do láb I hiarna agus a sin tú sin. Is fi réant an tíarna ina hitte ile. Is nafa ina ebricha giléh. Is garid an tíarna da ngarinéir go fírinach. Os go líonn tú do láb hiarna agus a sin tú sin. Alleluia, alleluia, alleluia. A her ar diarni is a Christ gan os glíse súla ar nagne chun go dice mis cadé mar údar dócastúing ar ngarim meg dia, alleluia.
Greven tierna liv,
Is Latin,
slucht as een siskel neffe, dreer neef oin.
Lord the
Zijn naam son, die me giese en noen haar fargen de Galile, is sin farge Tiberius. Len sloomore, maar gnogedor na merul tivische jennev lochtinis. Ga wie zijn schleef soos, als higgen so den enach lenne geskebel. Agus wie velen en jodoch een chaaske nachmiddag. Noor dadig isa hoele marschen, agus noor chnikse gref sloomore tachige, door chelle pilib. Ka no mi de raan, kun gemech beerkussa. Ik ben chillig as het doodse sin, maar wiesige feen kadwische chunne jennev. Agus jagger pilibe, nier loor loog ga hier denar. Ni ga hier chun gemech graim an dinneka. Agus doort in da jeske belesh. Ben dries se jahar himon padar. Sa oganach sa a wil koeg wulien oornage agus ga esk. Ach karach en mädchen dine. Agus doet diese. Krieg in de dine na sea. As we moran feerste naad. Agus hig schies marschen tiepel goed wiele dinne. Agus hoog is in de bolini, daltig, rein eder na dine, agus eder na sea. Agus marang gene, agus a balo das na heesk. Nor wie der stoch, doet chelle na geskebel. Baligi en broesker fielig, kon er een gede moe. Wij zitten san laan gaachje sjaan dieg de broesker, als de koekbelien oorne, a dag na dine voor een bele. Agus nu de knikt na dine marschen, en gruul te wie diente gieste, doet jed. Is je sjaggedarfe een fagetale tachter en zeil. Agus o wie is gieste, greveregne ko tachta oda chunrien of da, hoe laat hiever is fen sleef in de einer. Sine siskeel en tierna. Wel is toch een paar me een loudly weer van koepelen om het. Als je ro lucht kun je garf see she's femmer door te ardierna. It's just a small bit too wet to ask you to sit down as our Lord told the people when they came out to follow him. Look for the bread of life. And of course, in a way, that's what you're doing now. All this is a wonderful message, of course, a wonderful symbol of what the Eucharist does to us. And of course, how we get this bread from heaven when we follow the Lord. Even though we are sometimes we find it difficult, as it was difficult today to make the round, of course. But nevertheless, it's on those occasions especially that the Lord will give you a special grace. So you needn't be upset at all by the bad weather. You should thank God for it. There was an old man that told me that we say always, it's a bad day, thank God. Yes, because he knew that, of course, he would gain extra blessings because of the great patience he would exercise when the rain would fall down on top of himself and his hay and whatever he'd have. You see, so you can think the same. But you see, I'm all right. I'm all right, Jack. I'm here, and I thank you. I thank you for the preparation you made. Now, that's what the gospel is about. But of course, the other thing then is the Eucharist is very much mentioned in this, because our Lord gave this bread from heaven, gave the ordinary bread then, but this was the bread from heaven too, or a picture of the bread from heaven, which strengthens us, keeps us, gives us health, and then it's like the seed of the everlasting life, because our bodies too, you see, will rise up out of this grave. All the people here, with God's help, they will rise up because they have eaten of the bread of life. They're baptized with baptism, and then anointed, many of them, and also confirmed. And then eaten of the bread of life, which is the seed and the fruit which will grow and give them this wonderful body like our Lord. That's the way we will be, you know, when all this trouble is all over. Now I'm going to break now into Irish, of course, because I can speak in English, but I'm like a poet when I'm talking Irish. And why wouldn't I in this wonderful place? Fesgele, direch bualim ranish, kadakilin on seascale. Seascale untach, ata choirunach divin no, margwish takemach, ag shulta sanacha, direch fema the land dina or dearna, suasan knuk. Agus son gehuk she dove on beer on na, on gna vier douche. Ach bu ficturation don vier on now. Agus the other is rather one around the line out to me. So I'll say this one in English too. I must say though that the good lady who prepared the lunch for that little boy, she must have been very proud that evening, you know, because she quietly, she put a bit of thought into that, you know. And she must have, you know, reasonably big family because she had two fish and 5 loaves. There must have been a fair old crowd of them, you know, honest. And she did all this preparation, and our Lord used this to feed the whole crowd, 5,000 people or more, and to gather up all the brewskers, 12 big baskets. My goodness, wasn't it a wonderful supply? That's the Lord, of course. He is very, very generous. Nor didn't share lawn mahasa. So, we can't do a leisure shin on Vansha, a obligadian, nor we dine mo. Agus yin alwu dan lámúr se agus a scíl an chlánaachchan son agus bícha agus iasca chun gimach lón an a bhreacha agus is únta an rud sin. So thu go díarnáire dún ach chomáile sin tu fénare gur bhain sé féim as an duine a dhéanaan an olbhúchan seo sa bhaile. Gur chun sé bnacht na dine dan no a bhína díanam na hebrisha. Nis, nuair a táimid an samá dan no caiimid cíine bhar na rudí úntacha tá dianta an tíarna an ardímpol. An áit álan, stormsa bhfuil an áit ar cheannas na hátanas álan ar daun. Capan páda go hiici bhfuil sin is disina a gúigse, capan féin gur fear a gúigse. Ach da bhain sad a hógfi me, de chetin gur béis an áitas álan ar daun. Gwyl rairca gyfer sléte, gwyl awgyf, gwyl nes yn y ffyr braglas, fel o yrn fyr, ta se gahifn. Agus yn son comal sin an terŵr agus an tíchain. Nor oedd eisiau gyleir. A myd ffyr fweach dy gyr sy'n yn eisiau. Comal sin son an cedif y hwg siadwn, agus ta ymracht yn bewn so leis na blianta. Maar reist daarna nie araan of aan van en dinne ach gach fokkel hagen machas beelde. Not in bread alone does man live, but on every word which proceeds from the mouth of God. And nevertheless, you see, our Lord fed the poor people, and that's why really the church is doing too. You see, we know that if a person is really hungry, you shouldn't go around giving him a big long sermon or keeping him out listen to me like this. You should give him something to eat first of all. And then, of course, attend to his soul as well. And that's why the church now talks a lot about the poor and trying to help the poor and the people who are suffering from hunger and all that. The church is really involved. And of course, the people around here in Cork and in Kerry and in Munster and the whole of Ireland have been particularly, as you know, generous in all the collections that have been made for the people in want. So our Lord, the church is of course supposed to follow our Lord, and he is our great model, and he is the model not only of each and every one of you, but he's supposed to be the model of the whole of the church together too. Like we're supposed to be doing the things that our Lord would do if he were around, and of course he is around really, as we know in the mass now. We will meet him in a very special way. And she then made a talaragum, ach dirach shiva volla. To praise you, really, that you have such an occasion here. And it's a wonderful honour to me. The only time I ever said a mass at a round is at home, in my own local well. We have a well at home too, a well of St. Michael. And my grandmother was very devoted to him, and she died on St. Michael's Day. I'm quite sure the old angel came down and brought her up, you know. It was special. So we're under the protection of these people. And of course, we can also think about all the dead who are buried here, and the interest they have in us. Agus an clea chaurín siad linn. Is féidir gríimiid ar a son ach cinte go ngíonn siad súd ar ina cuma. Well, is ceannas na daoine móra bhíonn san áit seo, de be an Crohúrach, an Féile. Sin ceannas na buna eile thug dia don áitse. Buna na filiachta agus buna gailge, buna cheol agus rudí se go léir. Agus cluisimid beidir nis nuair a bhuine mise an brata nuas, mar tam é sin bhainte nuas inis, an brata bhainte nuas don lecht. Nuair a bhuine me an brata nuas, beidir go gluisimist mórthaigh an banna ceol. Ní me caintleo ach beidir go mórthaigh siad pórtún nuair a dhéana mé sin. Agus nuair a bheith sé sin diantan sin, tucha mé aisin sa agus guihi me, dyn me gui an phobal. So the next thing now is I actually will unveil the plaque, because of course I would like also this to be part of the mass, you know, because the gift of poetry and all these things, their gifts God gives us two very special gifts he gives us. And this man was very being tallish, the for she boer na filichte, boer na hashlinge, agus a soontig an rod, gwil krimne in sanacha. Agus Norwegen an brat puntje noos en san diarmid padder. En de handen sin be mi de gui, go meg an boershin eg dine elle. Agus ta sar am gwil, maar be me gleef filicht skien din en shatimpel. Weg an boersje marische beo, beder lekon of de har an lenjov. Gebegge hele kjol agus hele filicht again lekon of de. Maar is all an boersje. Ach ni vín sé géndine man in tres spraga agus man dukta tróda agus man a bhfuil an sampla ge. Tá an tála buint an háta seo bhfuil sampla chun seo do rinne go raibh an bua sinna ge agus gur gomaran a chuine agus bhfuil leabhar tásúla go bhfuil leabhar in scacha éon tig agus nuair a gabh na seachtainna beidir go bhíoach sé fiechant ar an chóip tá sa bhile gibh do leabhar an Crothúraigh. Bhfuil is ba me sáil go dtíon lecht. Chuma will shoot. An féin. Well is bhhailm an písa filiachta a scríomh sé féin a léamh. Fé léalach lám mo chantla géir túd lí, a fé go fáin le hám na haisairí. Ach tusa de bhain mar a gáin ar fert an tí, ná satal rá rám. Ach crown is fog dahui. Now she go hall. That's go kjol well listen kjol of Polish finish. So I'll translate it for you because it's beautiful in Irish of course. You couldn't translate that into English now, that's the difference between the languages. Under this greyish stone, alas, there you lie. Waiting waiting prostrate for the time of resurrection. And you who are present here now and who are passing here, step lightly on this grave and bow down and say a wee prayer. So I go back now and I will actually pray, not only for him of course, but for all the other people as well. Now the verse itself, those of you who have the book, you will find the verse in his poem on Donachol Lere of Lissanishke, who died the 15th of March 1909. And this then was the actual fartley. This was the epitaph that he had to the poem. You see, the Irish poets, when they composed a queen, they then gave you a suitable epitaph, a thing to write on over the person's grave. And that's what he has. Fwy lelijk laum, ma chaunt le geert hoed li, ag fehef gefaun le haum hash airi. Ach tussen de waun, mar a gaun har fart an tí, ná satel ro chraum, ach craum is fog da gui. Das is gehallen. Gwymis. Le lán munín in is, gwymis kan een tierna, a machten of doen, gehairehe, an sísgéal a cholemer. Gwymis daar dus, gung lachach dine, gefaltach, rufbriher dé, agus go dúdist aradó, agus go meach sé mar róra có in a sail. Go meach sé mar rór, tá sé mar rór gin in ar sail, agus go néistú amis leis na Lactairne ar múntóirí, ar dismahóirí, ar sagart agus an papa féin, nuair vín sé túrtóir dún le cáir bhríthir dé atá gin bachas mór le dé ó bhíal ar slána hóra féin. A hirna Islin. Gwymis yn son gyfaimis tisgyn ter yn rŵn diefer fwrsio, rŵn diefer na cymwynach, yn naffrin agos na cymwynach. Gyfaimis tisgyn ter y dros gy mechar nanam osgyltio dos na grosti gyleir a hag yn chwyn tyd yn gymwynach. Agos tegim iddyn is yn cli a hwgadiad na, ond fi yn gnwc gydagan sy'n bienis unti ffos dŵn nôr a lacamid yn nef hacrament. A hirna Islin. Gwymis sy'n yn un o gylera tan so láhir, agus na dyn yn ar airiglo a ddeha láhir gydwg a dia slant y dóibh, slant y anama agus slant y cyrp. Gydwg a sé slani ad o gach galar agus o gach cwntwrt agus o gach bail, bail da nanam agus bail da garp. A hirna Islin. Gwymis sy'n yn un o oga, gymedis prefahe secredif, gymedis dangan secredif, gymech a chomada no buona elle, buona na tisgana, agus buona an lein, agus blecwn of deles, buona an hjol, agus buona an olish, agus buona filichta. A hirna Islin. Gwymis sy'n na maraf. Atá na líon sa femar dúirtin Féile na líga fáin ag fiheh leis an aisairí. Gwymis idir an dá líon dar nó, go meisiad go léir a ggólacht a chéile ins na flais agus go bhfuil céalaí féilethe có in an óir an léineh. Agus go gíá sé darinne agus go ngíhí sé darinne. A hirna Islin. Agus gwymin is níos san ghónalí chruthúr féin, agus a san a ghailta, agus a cháde. Gwymis leis san na nína go léir a chárig chun an leach álan se a haláthar. Na dtíine dagrig an tráthána se, agus na dtíine bheith a gobar go dtíon fós ag churté istócha, agus a dí mar sin ar fáil de ghuine beidir atá tréis tacht tamil ó bhile. Nis dyr myd yn sied y fe hwyr leis y cwyn i fyr ar yn faid yn wyre, mae gawr un silin chyn ar achan i chychwyr y láhar de. Sied y fe hwyr tal an y grost, ta'n ti an y lef, span y hwyr fy agus, span y tar dyfryn i isa, an e wyr wahar de, gygar yn y pac ag yn is agus ar mas yma'n. Ganna ho hier na crinne margar browntorn en trans so fraal met een talaf agus sehra dinne go nemna har stien for der on the bahe doen. Mulle go doen dit. Sherun die ver niska agus en in sager en ter partach sin in negachten teshin a jone ge partach an anela. Spanne ho hier na crinne margar browntorn en fin so fraal met ni nun agus sehra dinne go nemna har stien for der dogs to dal te doen. Mulle go doen dit. Hag mi het laari hier in de hele moosle de lees kreeg mi een avers en glakkelis nebertjof al mi dat nou. Neeg me junte die me herne agus glan die me fakkie. Kreeg je vraag een lakke die aan tare le kocht toch lesje nebertjo oem shagas webse.
Lakken tieren en lesje
Nebertjo de laag en een oors laag en toch doen is dan aan Lakles de brande sjaf vraag mi dat herne as floosje telefeen. Gren rond jevre selle kocht de graste. Sin ne búnar mehach ná, ag sin húr slán chan lífne sirí sin ar ngé chud trík tí star dianna. Greven tian the live. Tug your grehan nord there.
She talk an order can attend.
Gamish bachas lesson dear the dear.
Captagus is quite.
Is Cartagus is called on Gadain, is Kiagus is Tarifach. Bachas a wall at the here, Agus in a heart here, I had knife for Chidabak moon of his crease. Eshnon Breher Chen of Rahudugachawalaun, Eshnon Slander to Hoon and Arboskult. And Holy Cocht and Spineve, as Ruhan widen with it. Colin shed the hull like a pop on life of it, no hina machalor, a grishester, from the boss of kiss, Sagas and Tashadi and the Baha Ledu. The addition of Barkish hanging like a session leave more me the Lord or all then. It's never who. I hear the Diana slow. For Nabagas Tal of Lawn to the glory, Hosannas no harder. It's Banner and Theatre, Tafton and Tierna, Hosannas no harder. I hear the Dias, never who go fear, no top on the knife of the lair. Nevig machine Pimidart to brand the Charlotte droof the spirit, whenever even our guard, cut buggers fully our dear niece Christ. Dullig shen fast our own hand, snuish our sus and his to hog shen tron, Rasha Bechaslet, Vanity Vision tron, Agus hug da Yeska Beleara, Glockagi Agus Ihigi Ilesha, Orishe Shamach Hart a Hurfer Erur son. A Greek and a treasure to fair Hogshen Halish, Rasha Bechas Laterish, Agus hug da Yeska Beleara, Glockagi Agus Olagi Lastisha, Orishisha Kalish Machet Falla, Full and no homina heri, Dot Freer son Agus Erson and Shinagayana and Mahons the Baki, Denigasha Agina Aramson. Fogrimi Sroon Jebber and Shedder. Aisa for to boss our son, Gary to one of Mariv Agus Tukadurish. Dorish here and dear, a queen doing it was Agus Rasheri Christ, a fraud with the Rana Bagas Kalisha Plana, Scum with Bachas Latters, Kivulachin of an arch shot of law of one of that. Here me go Hulork and Toffili Hill, a Cochtons beneath, sent up part of God Bagas of Will Christ. Turn Queen here and the Douglas had put it down. Net is a Harna figure in the Bob Owen Paul, then our Nasbuk Dermid, August Leshy Grade Ille, this in Saga Prost, August and Saga do Boudair, Koenig Freshner minded Fanny for Boss in the Sula Hashari Glover, Koenig er was hooded at I may have lean the fear and falling around for Staka Solid to Glory, then Troker and Limpimirat and the Scomution of Porches of Ahiri, from the Vollagos of Glory Ugers and the mighty when you more then the Vosters and never in the Hulship and Alchi the Vaki Secret. Is treed agus leis agus an hug der gahan nóir agus glór ditse a dhéan tahar eile chochtach mar é leis spid nef trí hel na sel.
Amen.
Grimís chun nahar femar a bún ar slán a hór dúna dhéanam. Ó nahar, tá nav, neithir tenin, gáðar ír, nianta da hallar dalag mar a dhéantar nav. Ónar ána é húli tú dúinú, agus máhún ar bíacha, mar bhaimid ar bheith húna féin, ná leik sin gahú ach séisnó. Séisnó a holcin bímar at herne, dúdún sí cháin an Arlín an sgna bhíle cawdrócre, sér an beca gánaí agus slán bhfuil búirt agus sin súlgalú cháirach le teacht ar slán hóra, ísiclí.
Ar is leatsa yn riach agus yn fwach agus yn glóis for henne sér.
Hier ní skís dút a daspil fagam sí cháin agam tugam díma hí cháin, ná fiachar ar beca í nach a sér a taglaise, tú sí cháin agus entig in the chéile femar al talet entas a bhain agus a rilí an trí elnas del.
Amen.
Sí cháin an tíar na libagánaí.
Agus leatsa.
Cumas le a chorp agus bhí ar díanaí sa Crís go agus sé behirí dúna lachana. A bhain dé a thugan tací an down den trocraring, a bhain dé a thugan tací down den trocraring, a bhain dé a thugan tací down tú dún sí cháin. Díanaí sa Crís. Nach ili men der te de chorp agus le chud folach lacha ach go gudú sé méid ranam as chat dé de bhas agus go múd leiste mai. Seo é uan dé, seo ein te hogan paci a dawn, is méad os úd a pwyr cyrra chun séire an nuin. A hirna ni fiú me go dúchan fa mín a chabar sin focail agus leis an man. The corpi is lán a beis a rísin.
Amen.
San na Marie bhhaim díach ar san úr go débre agus cinnte seo san áteach na Barí agus an fear. So Gimmis chun dé go meach sé fiorlinn go dúireach sé aimimse bhreadur níos a samach, go dúireach sé fiarach bre, go dúireach sé barí brethe agus prátaí agus gachra deile. Na hananta san go gurach sé an rá ar na bá agus ar na henimheh agus ar na gána agus go meach flúise baine agus imime agus meile agus éascleis in san áin mai bhíonn si bhí géascach. Ní cheata mé sin luabéidir. So agus ríist bhhaim siad a bheith bhuiir ráir san na hintaí seo go léir. Siad a bheith bhuiir táláán a rásna tá tíanana leat de spanna thuúr van agus a spanna tar do brinna ísa a né bhuiir a bháthir dé go gur na pecí níos agus ar rá má sem. Luimis. Hier nach Lactairne an take man nefa na geúr míid páis agus bás de vic, gon íon an tairisa a bhráinsean le bar gráún á slanú siríochar chun cín snear ní chud sé Christádiana.
Amen.
Go raibh an tíarna libh go mena I dé ile chochtach sibh ahir mac agus spirid nef tá an tafran hart mígi fé cháin agus beidir le ceol chumá.
Now, le Féile agus ar marga speisialta gá fút. There's copies of the book can be bought here tonight for £2 and there's good demand for the book and it took 50 years to sell it the last time but we don't think there'll be a third edition. So if you want to buy the book we have it for £2 on this very special occasion.
Okay. Turn around this way though.
Want to be there, right?
You want to be this way must to get the ball in, you know. And that's turn round actually.
Alright, so look at the cameras everyone. Isn't somebody making a video? Okay. But like it's private video.
We look at the camera so.
Yeah.
Master.
You must go to the egg and round down.
I just wondered the same thing if you say.
I know what can we do?
with the head down, right? Very easy to be good anyway, like. Oh, yeah. Right.
Just a small drop of price.
No. No. Are you jogging on anymore? What?
Yeah, you're right. Oh, yeah.
Just rent me.
What is transferring our races? That's what you could have in that, you know, the very little water and fish and go down and you know, and in fact that is my sure. And we cleaned it all, we sit out the tree, we did, we sit out on the store.
Was there no overflow there then?
No, not really, no. Flows in our right, like, but I thought it flows away again, maybe don't, I don't know.
Probably
yeah.
Probably high vein, kick it over again.
That's what, all the around.
All the around.
Yeah, all that is, all lot it would, yeah.
It goes after you cut there.
But then, you know, that's not easy. That's right.
Yeah, the Hebrew things are perfect, Colin. I have you.
Oh, I don't do that. Have your picture there? I have, yeah.
That means the near way. That means the near way. That means Romana. There.
Well, Cullen is a village about 4 miles from the Cork-Kerry County border, in the upland which forms the cradle of the river Blackwater, and it is situated beside a tributary stream called the Owen Paraglin. The surrounding region was since time immemorial a refuge land, and not until the 19th century were modern roads driven through it. In this remote village, An assembly famous in all the country round was held annually until the mid-years of the century on Lactairne Sunday, the Sunday falling on or before July the 25th, the feast day of the patroness of the parish of Cullen, St. Lactairne. Locally, it was well remembered that July the 25th was the traditional patron day or patron day, and rounds at the well were made by the old people on that day in preference to the Sunday of the gathering. And when Sunday coincided with the 25th, that was regarded as best of all. It was remembered also that the Sunday nearest the 25th had been the appointed day. But in practice, and probably to avoid confusion, the patron came to be held, if not on the 25th, on the Sunday before it. Well, now, yesterday was Sunday, the 24th, and today is the 25th. And this evening in Cullen, we had a special ceremony at the well and at the site of where the rounds are usually paid. The well at Cullen is beside the old church ruin in the graveyard, and a white thorn tree said to have been planted by St. Lactairne stands near the well. And there's a heart-shaped stone in the graveyard called Waheen Mcurtasha, that is the curtsy stone, at which pilgrims curtsied in making the rounds. Now, of course, St. Lactairne herself, she was one of 3 sisters, whose names in Duhallow are constantly given as Lasser. We have a place near Newmarket called Killasere. In Inhui, that's the yellow-haired girl, the Lactairne, sometimes spelled L-A-T-E-E-R-I-N in an attempt at a phonetic rendering. Her name seems to be unique and its meaning unknown. She was the youngest of the 3. Cullen remembers her as the most important. Now, this weekend has been really a wonderful weekend in the village of Cullen. On yesterday, Sunday, was the feast day. Naturally, they have taken advantage of the patron day to hold things that are eventful. And this feast, which is, has been going on for many, many years, was yesterday. Now, and on this evening, as I said, we had Mass. The chief celebrant, of course, was that wonderful man himself, a poet, an orator, a man of tremendous learning, and Tahir Ofianachta, Tahir Padrik. And everybody assisted in the setting up of this great day. We had, of course, whose generosity and whose welcome we are really enjoying at the moment, as Padrik Hickey of Eglaun Cullen. Now, I suppose this whole thing is unique, and perhaps is only in Ireland. We could still have things like this. We often hear of the patron dance and fair. Well, today was Patron Day, our Patron Day. And as we are gathered here now in Padrig's, what we call simple, warm, real old-fashioned kitchen, in spite of certain newfangled things hidden here and there, we have many wonderful people. And we have a lot of young people here, very talented. We have them here from Newcastle West, Kilnamartra, Agus Archina Evadigain, Fiwana Khar Karchi. We have them from the city of Cork, relatives indeed. Now, a big thing, of course, that took place today in the graveyard of Cullen was the unveiling of a plaque to a very, I suppose, probably one of the most famous sons of Cullen. That is to Donal O'Cruhoer Féile, Donal O'Connor, the poet, who is dead now and many years. He died 1930. And his book of poetry has been published. First of all, it was published, how many years ago was it, Patrick? 1932. And it was republished again in 1985. To commemorate him, on Tahir Ofianachta unveiled the plaque. So again, as I said, it is, we have so many things happening that we're hardly able to be at them and during this weekend. But I'm glad to be amongst them myself, and I am now going to call, so that we are still much alive here, on Halin Dasha, Eileen Nichot, Tán ó Castlú nó here, nó Castle West, a líne, ha? Tór na fa go bhfuir a dearing nach mór a pacha sin Tór na falla, cailín das áling an seo, agus canna sí a rándoing, agus an tarána sin a bhádín do bara. Nis a lín mar seo do haile.
Sawarin de bara da varik tum chin is doch tu doch love me ingan is dom winter I sorts of imshes noinov I ser mairi gamer magin mar de chalach tu an chrianom da hugus is da hugus is da hugus som chrigiandit gam noch hele wira na gin all so champol Stad hulin baglische na iske nangjaurha Stad velin bavine na handrit nuira lauren Da hil me hu a vala le brir has le poga Da hil me hu a vala le lauiris le moide Vrakonon Ach dag tu duchtjalov hacht dan vrien wa me Da hjul hin is da hjul hin is da hjul hin on selat da reinche har style gan rafingen sprelat ma winter smacharte go brach do rekin is de leish van mas me achragerlatin me
With us tonight, a grandson of the famous poet Sean O'Cruet. And Sean will give us now a recital on the violin, and he will start with, I suppose, the greatest and the most famous of all traditional tunes, the slow air of the Cullen. followed by some lively jigs or reels. Féile in Cullen had organised a poetry competition. The winner was Dermot O'Keefe. And our Dermot was here himself to recite the winning poem, Imercha o Gruha Aula.
Stoch a gominen an dan leis an imirce nó aimsere, mar is buine sé leis an sais rairc a mí an gomininic ag airfort Corcaí, airfort na sinna nó airfort eile timppel na tíre. Agus ba bhálum a bhíniu go bhfuil tagart an de éan glas agus cínlih go raibh lucht na hetaláin ag fógrú green board look up ór a bhain le déanaí so sin an taon glas. Tucht ag an airfort. Tucht ag an roiarc uignach an géim ógtrach. Agus nuair nach míonn san éon glas in irthar spéire ach irid fríde. Tucht tachtach. Agus brú siar deora nach silfar go ciúinis dómh na híthe. Sin an méad táhain. Is tócha gur ceartam iarachtaí ana bhar é bhíniú as béarla. This poem is to deal with unfortunately the new wave of immigration that is hitting the country, and it is set in an airport where fortunately so many people have now to fly out. They're not going the big ships anymore. Nevertheless, it's the same experience. There is a word in Irish, tucht, and I'm afraid I can't translate it. It's the catch you get in your throat when you really feel a lot of emotion. And as I said, there's a reference here to the Aon Glass, the green board, but that was Aer Lingus when they're advertising, look up the green board, but the green board might be all right if he was coming in from someone from a visitor. Tucht ag an airport is the tucht, I have to use the word tucht. Tucht at the airport. Tucht at the lonely site on the top step. If you notice, then they always turn back and wave just as they're going the door of the airplane.